knows me, I'm a bit of a gamer. But these are some of the games. As a child, I used to like playing games. So Christmas was my favourite time of the year because that's when family played games with me. Board games, card games. The rest of the year I was a lonely child playing on my own. But you can imagine how excited I was in the 70s and 80s when games suddenly became electronic. Does anybody play Electronic Mastermind? Come on, tell me. Yes? What about Game Boy? Or even, my first game was W.H. Smith. It was a Tetris game. Did you know that Tetris, if anybody plays Tetris, is brilliant for relaxation? You should always play Tetris at the end of the night. Calms the brain down. But these are my gaming devices that I play. Nintendo, Sony PSP, others around in the room play these type of things. On the phone, on the computer, you can even get little toys that are games as well. Tamagotchis? Did anybody have one of those? You have a little virtual pet. So games devices have always been fascinating me, but the types of games I'm going to talk to you about today, these are like, you can get fighting games, you can get driving games, caring games, puzzles, logics, role-playing games. But actually, Jeff Petty, I think, hits it on the nail when he thinks that actually games can develop some really good skills, including things like thinking skills, and we'll have a look at those in a moment. But these are some of my games. You've got some skills, so you can learn how to put makeup on properly. I haven't used that, I have to say. You can have language ones, puzzles, the Wii where you physically get involved, or a little hamster one. I've killed that hamster several times. But if you see somebody on the train going like this madly to their DS, they're stroking their cat or their dog. Skills learnt when gaming. You may or may not know that you get a huge amount of skills when you're gaming. And when I'm saying gaming, it could be board games as much as electronic games. Two ones I want to focus on, learning rules. Very few mobile games have rules. Therefore you have to learn those rules as you play. Games that involve questions. Well, we've got a text wall over there, you can use Twitter, you can use QR codes, Facebook, a broad range of ways that you can involve questioning, and of course bringing in Bloom, we try and get people to ask questions at the higher order thinking right at the top. Games that train the brain. Does anybody play brain training? Yes, a few of you? These are old-fashioned games that are actually trying to use both hemispheres of the brain. And if you do 5 or 10 minutes of brain training before you do a normal class delivery, you'll get better attention and achievement during that class. You can play games as icebreakers, good old-fashioned teaching procedures, icebreaker first and get people going into the rest of the session. But these type of games that DSs have, mixed messages or scribblenauts, are really good little activities that can get people going before they start their main session. But I also quite like traditional games in teaching. And I've actually called a game to be something like diamond ranking. Has anybody used diamond ranking in delivery? You wouldn't necessarily think of it as a game, but quite often people that are receiving that really get excited and feel that it's a game, even though it's a way of ranking. Social networking games, we've also talked a little bit about that, but Foursquare, that's where Alison comes in. You're a Foursquare queen. It's a positional of where you are, and you can get badges, can't you, and become mayor. So there's a little game
mayor of
element.
some very important places.
Well, yes, I know. You can make games as well, and I think this is where I think it's quite fascinating, and I play a lot with this. Trying to use some of the free software that's out here. Unity 3D, for example, is really exciting. You can create exciting, the architecture of the games are there, and all you have to do is think about the game involved and create. PC games, Urgent Evoke. I think this is a really interesting one. Evoke, it allows you to use a social network to come up with creative solutions to problems. So some of the missions in here, this is all free, open source, free. Some of the missions might be things like looking at the water crisis of the world, or financial situations of the world. So it's very worth looking at Evoke. Civilization is 20 years old, believe it or not. It's used a lot in universities in America, where they are not just realising that civilization is about history and social development of civilizations, but you've also got all the underpinning stuff, the problem solving and the communication and negotiating. World of Warcraft, you might have heard in the sense that many online gamers, this is a multiplayer game that people play online. Location-aware games, that fits into the GPS that Nigel was talking about. Again, fascinating area of development where people are using positional, locational data to get involved in massive games of where you are and so on. These are two games I play a lot. Zenbound looks funny, it's very peaceful. You wrap an object with a finite piece of string, and where it touches the object it paints. It's very peaceful, very clever. This is the other one, Angry Birds. Anybody got Angry Birds? This is a very addictive game. But basically you're throwing pigs at, birds at pigs. But games are also now in simulations, and this is an area that I'm really looking at in detail at the moment. Because, thank you. This is almost my last slide. The serious games and simulations, a lot of development is going into those. So that, again, Future Lab has got a lot of study on this. This is my final slide. This is something interesting, skills for the future. Will one day, or this is a quote, one day may not be far off when companies receive resumes or CVs that include a line reading level 60 Tauren Shaman in the World of Warcraft. And you probably think, oh God forbid if that happens. But actually, that is the world that we're in with many people. The skills that you get with World of Warcraft skills, tremendously valuable to business.